Hi, welcome to the DoD official mail room at Chartertoconductor, working on our electrical circuits for our locomotive. We showed you the control set, so let's move to the starting exciter, generator, auxiliary generator set, and then we'll go over the terminal boards and these punch-out cards that were kind of used in computers when they used to use in circles. But the best way to use a voltage regulator while also testing the capacity of each terminal board circuitry. Alright, here we have a voltage regulator going into an alternating generator with a star switch and then the fuse 2. And then over here it goes up to a controlled rectifier bridge, which means it's DC. Changing it to DC, where it comes into a resistor with ohms. And then back over here, this will make it 4 would make it AC. We get the light for your ground reset relay and light with a ground relay and FP, I guess. And then over here you'd have fuse for your battery field, battery 1, 2, 3, and 4 double switch relay coming down these squares to the rheostats, battery charging resistors, and 4-way ground pole. Alright, that's this one. We'll come back to, I'll explain why the circuit cards work. Alright, we have this, which is your exciter generator, adjustable rheostat arm, terminal board, shunt field resistor, ohm meter adjustable. Then the main generator field collects on the main generator. The auxiliary generator selects on the auxiliary field. And then you have your commutator field, your starting field, which is ran off the battery, which has double switches. And the battery is taken with an ammeter and a ground switch with a fuse and a shunt meter, so the battery doesn't go out. Alright, what's next? Alright, you have your lube oil pressure set at 20 psi. You're an engine temperature switch, and then it runs on DC because it's an alarm, which has a bell to lights 1 and 2, and then lube oil pressure switch runs off of at 178 degrees. It will switch off, and that's the alarm switch. Some of them have alarms, some of them have lights. Best to have both. Alright, over here you see a small traction motor drawing. Shows the traction motors with their exciter fields, and then forward and reverse relay, power contactors 1 and 2, motor cutout, wheel slip relay, input, resistor, ground. So that's similar to what we have over here. This one was the ground with a rheostat at 150, taking fuses 1, 2, 3, reverser forward, reverse, 4 traction motors, 2 traction motors, power contactor, wheel slip way. Your ammeter going from the resistors coils to the shunt meter to which looks like back to the field, and then in between the field and the power contactors is your main generator, auxiliary generator. And I've already showed you this part, but what we did is we added our controls to make sure that well, I got kind of a bit lazy at this, but like, so you have your front and back controls. This is the front, back. We're doing a true cab, so here's some of them have them listed on the side, so I didn't, but basically we're going to make copies of these terminal board cards, and then we're going to have our gauge boards, and then we won't need some of it's been already notated as it was in the wire diagram. So basically we got our terminal boards and our list at the stand. So that's all we need is some index cards. I showed you these pictures and the oil pressure lights, my controls and my parts, shows switches, then the different switch magnetic relays, power contactors, fuses, all that good shit, and where they place in the locomotive over here, and which throttles. And then this one's also noted, even though it has a heater, it's noted down there. The only ones I'm missing is the start shutdown, which I think is just better abbreviated on the page, because you can see the switches right there. Sanders right there. Alright, now back to what we did is we got our decks. Let me take out the big one right now. Okay, this is starter deck 4. So on starter deck 4, starter deck 4 is a pneumatic control series parallel relay with isolation switch, ground, fuel pressure control, and engine run relay. So this is starter deck 4. It has four different pins, 4 different sockets, 4 different jacks. The circles represent capacitors or resistors. They could be done on both sides either way. I just wanted to save these because I went through like 5 decks of cards and like 2 packs of O-rings. So we're going to go back. Now that you've seen the shutdown, starter deck 4, pneumatic control out, isolation, ground, fuel pressure, engine relay. Set in a matrix type swap, so when it rotates it alerts. And then right here it shows you we have set up the originally I used one of these. This is a electric retarder type A, but this is track drawing. The scribble lines were representing induction coils or capacitors. The 2 big lines where the rails would have went would have up through firewalls. And to the left, a pin capacitor, jack box, kind of like your voltage regulator. What this does is it's a transition panel relay, so you can test your circuitry for the starts to shut down deck. They're labeled. They'll be all set together. So each deck will have a voltage regulator box, and you can tell a voltage regulator box by the low fuse and the high input fuse. And then what we did is we drew a shunt, which is just basically in the circuit breaker in the closed card where the circuit breaker is CB. I kind of messed that. That's your circuit breaker wall, where the circuit breakers would go. And then if you wanted to test these circles, what you would do is you'd insert a jack from your spectrometer or multimeter, whatever you wanted, into the pin capacitor, which has positive and negative poles on each side for each port. And then what you did was the rectifier bridge tested it for DC. These are low input bridges. 3-way rectifier bridge, start shunt wall, which would be with the card slot open. You have 2 card slots. They're both all capacitor range. And then you ever heard of RLC? Well, you could run 2 or 3 capacitors and keep the same voltage. So what we're doing is we minused out different cards, right? Notice I have minus the corners out, and then the centers, these 2 would be right there. So when you put it in there, it tests the capacitors, or you have your induction resistor capacitor. It could be all capacitor, it could be a resistor. High input fuses. This over here is your fuse test. It has a fuse of its own, and has an alternate. When you pull the switch, you can also turn on this control rectifier bridge, which then creates the 3-way rectifier bridge. Becomes a Wheatstone rectifier bridge, which would be AC. And then if you had, say, one of the terminal boards has a control rectifier circuit going into it, you just mark out the resistor and continue with the other two. Or if it has, the resistor. If it has a control rectifier bridge, then you'd minus one control rectifier bridge down here from the card. And these cards go inside of it. And then you have your open card. And then you'd have your open card, and you'd have an open card where the pins are going through, and it tests them individually. Each card has its own rank in the terminal board. Pins going 1, 2, 3, 4, and test those circuitries in between the cards, starter, meter, relays. So with this, my control parts, and you've seen my resistor drawing, and now the cards as in the rectifier, voltage, relay, bridge, tester, whatever you want to call it. That should get us up to speed and create, and what all you'd have to do is just move one card forward and put it ahead of the fuse card, and it will tell you automatically which one it is, or take one card out and it will already tell you automatically what parts are defective. I did not label the cards because it was short on the cards to do the alternating. The kind of how you kiss a bolt, tighten this bolt, you got to do it in star sequence, or so I just did total elimination circuit, which you also want to add the alternating circuit coil packages. Like I remember the video, coil package card Trek 1, 2, 3. This will be the end of the locomotive series. But we also did we did all these cards, right? Your wire relay diagrams, and they have the original wire run for each different terminal board or whatever, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to just run with this piece of paper right here. And this is majorly important. That completes the. I hope this makes the card trick a little bit easier, and that should complete our circuits with a blue book. The punch cards, which has this book has the electrical wire diagram. I want to make another copy of it, but and then paste it in the pages of those. So, and this is, we'll be doing a drawing on electric conduity and the big block program, big block symbols for your alternating main generator, voltage relay, or dynamic resistor, wheel slip relay, basically your slicing main starting switches, and stuff like that. Please note the tracing wire diagram. And any other wire, like electrical schematic diagram that may be found on Chartertoconductor.com. Thank you, and have a good day.